All right, it's announced, it's official, it's coming. The Helix Stadium XL and non XL have officially been announced at the Helix 10-year anniversary party. I just watched the live stream. I highly recommend you go check it out on the Line 6 channel. Or you could just stick around and I'm going to fast track you through some of the big features that I'm most excited about. Hey, this is Steve from the future. I just finished editing this video and I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to the Line 6 team for putting on this event. I think this was a really successful event hosted by Tim Pierce, absolute legend, one of my favorite players ever. This was awesome. What you're about to see is kind of not a synopsis from my perspective, but kind of like my favorite highlights. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that was announced and talked about. I encourage you to go check out the full live stream and let me know what you guys think of my Cliff Note abridged version here. And if you're into Line 6 stuff and you're interested in the Helix Stadium stuff, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And I probably will be getting one of these and making a ton of content on them if that's what you're into. So yeah, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Let's get back to the video. Holy crap, guys. This is everything and more that you were expecting, and a lot that I would have never even dreamed of. Eric and the team, unbelievable. So I've got a little screen grab here of the presentation. You could see some of the chats were quite entertaining on the side on the right. People are always complaining, but mostly all good things about this. And let's just go bit by bit. I'm going to skip through so we can get to the goods. So there you see it's available this fall. Oh, there's me. How exciting is this?
And
little thumbnail shout
number
out there.
3, and most importantly,
about all the reasons why this is necessary. But let's get to the fun
OG
stuff.
Helix.
A lot of tech nerdy stuff here. If you want to go check out the stream, listen to Eric say it. So here's the I/O on the back. A lot of interesting stuff. You've got instrument, mic ends, looks like 2 effects, loop stereo outs, 1/4-inch outs, headphones. The VDI, that Nexus is a very unique thing. They're going to make a port that for you Variax users, you're going to be able to use your Variax with this because that Nexus is going to be a little hub that you can, I don't know if you can buy it or they're going to include it, whatever it is. That's going to be a converter or whatever adapter to use with your Variax and a couple of other units that he talks about later in the video. USB-A, NC, and a micro SD card so that you can do all sorts of cool stuff with this. Let's skim through. Here's more about the size. So this was fun here.
This
Here's the
I/O
original Helix.
fits into chassis that are notably smaller than Helix or Helix LT. Stadium XL's footprint is 25% smaller than Helix Floor. Stadium is 42% smaller. And on the weight front, Helix Stadium XL, even though it has a ton more hardware packed inside, it's 21% lighter, and Stadium is just over half the weight. So this new platform that we built isn't just for...
So obviously the weight is awesome. They also introduced, I've been wanting a lighter Helix. That's actually why my Helix isn't with me right now, because it's big and heavy. These are smaller and lighter. So now this is Agora. This is the new amp modeling that they're
previous
doing.
building.
And I can skip through this and just give you guys a quick summary. These are all built from the ground models. This is not a new version of Helix. This is a completely new, fresh process that they're doing with their amp modeling. They're going super in depth into it. Again, check out the stream if you want all the details that Eric shares here, but the new modeling is a completely different thing than the current Helix.
So it sort of represents home for us. It represents component behavioral architecture and modeling methodology. There's all new tube emulation where we actually measure detailed parameters of the actual real tubes modeled in that particular amp, voltages, currents, capacitance, and more. We've invented a new way of modeling power stages, both push-pull and single-ended, in conjunction with the power supply, so we can capture the detailed dynamic interaction between the signal and power supply, which makes the transient response more realistic, so how it actually responds under your fingers and pick. Agora also models circuit feedback more accurately than has been possible before, not only each instrument's ideal characteristics and behavior, but the real world nuances too, because they don't always sound or behave the same, right? Even things like capacitance between runs of wiring in the chassis are accounted for. There's also detailed plate and grid voltage data, all speaker impedance curves, interblock communication, so cab blocks can talk back to the amp block for dynamic speaker impedance curves.
So that's huge. At the speaker impedance curve, they're going to be able to communicate just like in real life. So that's going to be a major difference maker. I mean, that's everything that has to do with feel. A lot of it has to do with impedance curves. Now, this is cool. This is a new feature called hype. This is a new parameter that basically adds it's like a goodness knob. It could change the way the amp sounds and feels. And it, as Eric kind of puts it, not direct quote, again, go watch the stream and listen to his real quote. It idealizes the amp. So whatever amp you're dialing in, you go to the hype knob and you turn it both directions. I think it starts at 0, but you turn it up and see what it actually does to the sound. It actually might make it sound better. It takes your raw sound and just, like you said, idealizes it into something different.
We fully understand that open source solutions are doing amazing things in this space.
There, he's talking about Neural Amp Modeler.
And jury's still out on whether Helix Stadium goes there or not, but we wanted to do something unique and interesting. So
I thought that was an interesting point that he said whether or not Helix Stadium goes there or not means that there is potential for Neural Amp Modelers to be played in the Helix Stadium at some point. It seems like that's something that's on the table right now.
Proxy is unique in that its core architecture and capabilities are designed to expand beyond amp and effect capture, maybe things that aren't even audio. It also sends training data wirelessly to the cloud, no computer necessary, which means you can train better models due to the power of cloud server processing. And while the servers are crunching numbers, you can keep making music. You don't have to wait for it. As soon as your clone appears in the model list, Stadium lets you know.
This is huge. Now we're looking at the actual unit here. Look at this. You've got 8 encoder knobs compared to Helix, I think, has 4 or 6. I forget off the top of my head. Looks like we still have scribble strips, touch capacitance, encoders, but look at that screen. Listen to this. This is probably one of my favorite parts.
Helix Stadium adds 2 extra push encoders and 5 extra dedicated push buttons. So you don't have to do the tap, tap, swipe, swipe, back, 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 close, close thing that you get. You can choose to use tactile controls or the touchscreen or both, however you're accustomed to working.
This is awesome. This is another thing that they added. Now, when you pull up a parameter, so here they've got feedback highlighted, but take a look up at the top of the screen. It tells you now what each parameter does. So you actually are not going to need the manual. You're not going to need to tell people to read the manual. It's actually going to put right there on the screen what each knob does so that you actually have an idea of what the hell you're doing when you're turning the knobs instead of just relying on exploring. Now, this is probably my favorite part is this button thing. This thing. It separates, if you look at the screen here, he says it's 5 zones.
If you tap this little camera icon down in the lower left-hand corner, this will let you see our new focus view.
Okay, focus view. So you have five, I guess they're presets within each model. And apparently you can touch and drag and get in between these settings. So like for your solo up here, it says you could just slide it up there and it'll give you settings for a solo, or you could go somewhere in between. Let's hear Eric.
So most amps and effects feature 5 touch zones with descriptive terms like clean, tight, dirty, squishy. Sometimes they get a little clever or whatever. Just slide your finger around the field until it sounds close to what you want and then just tweak with the knobs.
So you basically have all sorts of unlimited presets, really. You can drag and find in between zones, and it looks like it changes all of the parameters as you go, like different. So you get in between. It's not just this preset, that preset, that preset. You actually have an infinite number of presets. I guess it's not infinite, but you have whatever in between, like going from A to B. Cabs, you know that this is my favorite area of Helix and any of the modelers. Most of the sound is made in the cabinet section. Looks like we have a whole new cabinet section, cabinet workflow, 3D touchscreen. You can click and drag microphones. You can link cabs.
For cabs, Focus View lets you move the mic around in 3D space, which is fun. And for EQs, it lets you dial in curves, So it's contextual. It depends on the model, right? We've also provided a bunch of new contextual tools at the preset level. So all factory presets contain tips on how to best use them. For your own presets, you can freely type in helpful information like what instrument to use, what pickup was used, what was the tuning, what was your playback system, are there any creative controller assignments, what do the snapshots do, what's your favorite taco recipe? We don't care, right? And what's great is when you share these presets online, people have a much better idea of what you're trying to accomplish.
So preset sharing just got a whole lot easier. You also have this clip feature where the person that makes the preset records their guitar playing the preset as it's intended in the style that it's intended to be heard on. So this is a really interesting thing for people that are downloading or buying presets. You can actually hear the original creator's intention. This is another awesome thing. We have backwards compatibility with Helix. Now look at the size of this preset.
Blocks. The 4 stereo paths now have 12 blocks each, and while they do
4 paths, 12 blocks.
Take up block locations, multiple splits and merges can be
a lot of splits and merges. You see, you can have multiple. You could have amps in parallel. You could have effects in parallel, and you can split a lot of paths here. Another really crazy thing is this output. So this knob is going to control volume for 1/4-inch XLR and headphones, but it doesn't stop there.
If you press the button again, and you'll see our new flexible matrix Q mixer, and each layer is fully dependent. So you can have a completely different monitor mix for the 1/4-inch outputs to your amp, the XLR outputs to the front of house, or the phone's output to your in-ears, or the drummer, or the musical director. Each layer gets individual level, pan, mute, and solo for each of the 4 stereo paths independently, USB in 1.2, Bluetooth audio, aux in, the metronome, and all 8 stereo audio tracks. You can link 2 or all matrix layers together.
So you've got a ton of flexibility now with your volumes.
Our venerable command center is still here. You get your 2 layers. This is dedicated to manual control of your to DM. Remember, because you have Stomp A and Stomp B, if you wanted to, you could dedicate Stomp B to nothing but commands.
So Stomp A, Stomp B is going to be huge, having 2 pages of foot switches and command center available for all of it. That's going to be amazing.
That brings us to our Showcase automation engine. With Showcase, Helix Stadium is set to control your entire stage automatically.
Showcase for me seems way over my head, but it looks like it could do a lot of things. It seems like this is future, I think. This is not at launch. This is future things. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I would assume it will happen, but this is crazy.
It's like having a guitar tech, bass tech, keyboard tech, playback tech, maybe even a lighting / video tech at your beck and call. If you just want to jam along with your favorite 20 or 50 or 500 songs, load them into Helix Stadium and then use the transport foot switch mode to recall them. That's real easy. And if you save the song, it recalls the preset. So you don't even have to go hunting for the preset if you want to jam along with your favorite song. And if that's all you care about, great. Next step might be when you're loading in tracks, you ask the Helix Stadium app to split the song into stems, so then you can mute the guitar or bass part or turn.
So he just said the Helix Stadium app to split the stems. So you're actually going to be able to deconstruct a mix and mute guitars to either practice, play along, or dial in your presets with. It doesn't stop there. You can actually have the song programmed in and make changes as you go. So he talks about the ideal number of foot switches, which he actually talked about in my podcast, being 0. So the way this is going to work is when you're playing a particular song, like you just saw in that set list, as the song plays, you can put markers for all of your changes and have your entire song and set list and your entire show automated. So you actually do not even need foot switches if you're playing to tracks or if you're on the grid, if you're playing to a click. If you're the one triggering the click, I assume. This is one thing I'm curious about that I'll have to figure out, but it almost seems as if I'm the one that triggers the click, all of the changes will happen when they're supposed to, and I won't have to actually step on a foot switch. Here's what I want to talk about before. This is the Nexus. This is the new, it's not VDI, but
channel I/O and control protocol. So all right. Nexus is Yamaha Guitar Group's all-new modular, networkable, multi-channel I/O and control protocol. So it's fairly open-ended, and it lets us expand the ins and outs and control capabilities of Helix Stadium. Although Helix Stadium unfortunately no longer has VDI and L6 links jacks built in, we absolutely could not abandon our PowerCab Plus and Variax users, of which I am. So the first Nexus accessory we're announcing is Expand D10. Expand D10 adds Variax, L6 link, and via 8-channel optical, you can run 8 channels to audio interfaces to expand the input count of your studio. And almost every audio interface, $500 and above.
So this is all more fancy stuff that could do. We also get a new expression pedal. Look at this. This is all just TRS cable that just plugs right in, and it's not, doesn't need any type of adjusting. Interesting look. I'm curious how it feels. It looks cool for sure. It's nice and small. I definitely like
It's
the
cast
size.
aluminum. Carry it all in.
And now this ultimate, the new backpack.
Helix backpack. Helix Stadium backpack. Sorry.
So they got rid of the bullet holders, the little slits there in the Helix backpack. This is a fresh design in-house. They're making it themselves. They designed it all themselves, and it looks perfect. So he says waterproof-ish. Obviously, you can't say waterproof unless it actually cannot get wet. Obviously, anything can get wet if you try hard enough.
Has USB pass-through for a phone battery, secret compartments for tracking chips. So if somebody steals your Helix Stadium, you can go beat them up. A ton of room for EX2, Expand D10, cables, music, books, tuna sandwiches, whatever. Wire cloud Wi-Fi, wireless editing, automatic wireless updates, Bluetooth, new strobe tuner. For EX2 pass-through for a phone battery, 10 cables, music, books, tuna sandwiches, whatever. So we haven't gotten into, man, there's so much to talk about. We didn't have time. We haven't gotten into like built-in multi-client Wi-Fi, wireless editing, automatic wireless updates, Bluetooth, new strobe tuner, side chaining compressors and gates, and all the cool other cloud stuff. And there's a bunch of other big things that we just can't talk about just yet.
And now this is the most amazing thing. Check out the prices. You're not going to believe.
So it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody, but these are coming above Helix and Helix LT. Helix Stadium processors start at $17.99. Beginning on June 25th, you can reserve your Helix Stadium online or in stores. So
that's crazy. The Stadium, which is the smaller version, it's weird that they did this with the naming, I think, where Stadium XL is the full flagship and Helix Stadium is the small one with no scribble strips, and it's like the less premium. $1,800 for that, and then Helix Stadium XL, the full with the expression pedal, scribble strips. Everything else is pretty much the same. A couple of small minor details, but $2,200 I think is an absurdly good price in the current market, considering what everybody else is charging for all that you're getting. And we also got a Helix price drop from Helix, HX Stomp. All of those have gone down in price, and they're also continuing to support them through updates. And that is the gist, I suppose, or it's how long we at? 25 minutes or something like that. Over 25 minutes of what I just witnessed here, and this is awesome. The Helix Stadium is coming, and it is amazing. I thought Tim Pierce did an awesome job hosting. Great event. It seems like it was a lot of fun. A lot of my friends are there saying what a great time it was. Let me know what you think of the Helix Stadium in the comments, and holy crap, I cannot wait for winter 2025.